Let me ask you about money. It's something that we talked about last night. It's one of the big things I noticed about you when I saw you speak in Napa, and we were in a room of 140 entrepreneurs, some of them very successful, and you asked this question, what is your relationship with money? And it was like a pin dropping in there. I just felt this energy, and I'm not even that intuitive, I don't think. And everyone, you could just, the cogs started moving, and you started talking to different people, and everyone had different relationships and dysfunctional relationships. And someone was like, I'm making $10 million a year and I hate what I do. And someone said, I was born wealthy and I felt guilty ever since. And some person was this and that. And you ended up speaking with each one of those people. And I know it's obviously resonated with me. Last night, everyone said a word about money. One was freedom, one was options. I said pain. And I didn't know I was going to say that. And so, and you picked up on that and you talked about that. Tell me about that question and why you ask it and what you found it says about people.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if I may, you said I'm not very intuitive. You are an incredibly intuitive man. But you may not always honor it. Mm. You may not listen to it. And I say that with tremendous respect. Incredibly intuitive. Incredibly intuitive. Okay. So that's a massive compliment if you choose to see it like that.
Thank you. I will be more aware of it.
And I was very intuitive. But the thing is, I just didn't listen to it. I didn't trust it. I just wasn't used to tapping into it. So if we often say things like, oh, I'm not intuitive, or it's almost like, well, I don't have intuition, and I know you didn't say that, but this is for the benefit of the listeners, of the watchers, if you like. Trust me, you have it in abundance. And if you start to understand and even just feel that, say, I do have intuition. And then you start to hone in on it. And it's a small nuance, but it's very important. But back to the question. So just to create some context, last night I asked everybody in this room, I said, if you had to sit back and consider money, I'd like you to sum up how you feel about money. It's a very different question than think about money. How do you feel about money in one word? And that's what you're relating to. One guy said bastard. Yeah. One guy said freedom. Somebody said options. Somebody said, used the word pain. Somebody said, trade, et cetera, et cetera. But think about the vastness of the different answers and the depth, and think about the emotion potentially behind them, but more importantly, the stories behind them. What's the story behind the pain? What's the story behind bastard? What's the story behind freedom? And on a very simple human level, it's like, a lot of people will argue that money buys you freedom. I can fundamentally disagree with that. Because I know very, very, very wealthy people who never have to work another day in their life, and I'm telling you, they do not feel free. Can they walk out the door and buy a Lamborghini without thinking about it? Yes. If that is your definition of freedom, good luck. Because to me, freedom is about being able to lie in your bed at night, close your eyes with a little stinky smirk on your face, not every night. Say, shit, I'm living. I'm living. And be able to close your eyes and fall asleep with peace of mind. There is no money in this world that can buy that. None. So to me, it's about your relationship to money. How do you feel about money? Because what you think about money is irrelevant. Because you may have an affirmation that goes, I live a life of abundance and I have endless amounts of money, and you read it every single day. Yet it doesn't necessarily transform into your life. But I'm reading the affirmation. I was told to do this affirmation. I've got a vision board. I've got a $1,000 bill, and that represents the $1,000 I want to make every single day. I've set my goals. I want to be a billionaire by the time I'm 45, or whatever it is. But yet you don't feel you're successful in societal terms, but you don't feel satisfied. So what do? Stay busy and keep chasing it? Or do you have the courage to stop? The courage to stop and say, what is that niggly feeling telling me? Maybe it's a signpost. Maybe it's my intuition saying, hey, I used to be a roar in your life many years ago. I'm like a mouse right now because you're not listening to me. You're allowing society and your brain dictate the entirety of your life. If you just listen to me for a second, what I'm trying to tell you is that you're not as happy as you tell yourself you are. You're not as happy as you pretend to be on Facebook every day. And if you stopped, maybe there's a different way of living. Maybe there's a transformation. Maybe there's a transition in your life I'm not going to use the word change because we all freak out about change. Maybe there's a slight transition. Maybe there's a little degree turn that you need to make where you can become more aligned, more engaged, and happier in your own skin. So it's about our relationship. And when I work with couples, one of the things I say, what is your relationship to relationships? People go, what are you talking about? I said, when you grew up as a kid in the home that you grew up in, what was it like? What do you remember? What did you see every day? And it is extraordinary. So picture this, you have a man and a woman typically on one side or the other, and it comes from this place of, they come to this experience kind of with a laundry list of the shit they want to change in their partner. And then before they know it, they start witnessing their partner get in touch with their story, their relationship to relationships. And say, well, my mom used to do this and my dad was always this, and God, I didn't know that. Wow. And that competitive edge is replaced by compassion. And then they start to understand the person. Because we can only be what we've seen. We can only be what we've witnessed to a large extent. So our relationship to relationships in the context of couples impacts and influences at a very deep level. And our relationship to money impacts us at a very deep level. And it can be such a minor comment from your dad or your mum. And we've heard the usual one, money doesn't grow on trees and all that kind of stuff. But don't get too big for your boots, and that's only for the rich people, and that's all. And this shit stays with us. And when we don't deal with it, we bring it into every single conversation. And we don't honor it, and what ends up happening is we put it this way, and I said this recently, and hopefully this makes sense, is when we get up in the morning and we hold something deep, like say money and pain, we hold that true. We go out every day into the streets of London, the streets of New York, and the streets of Vancouver, the streets of Dublin, seeking to validate how we feel about ourselves and the world. We might be thinking and saying something different. So you might walk into a meeting saying, yeah, I want to sign this $1 million contract. Absolutely, this makes sense. But you behave and you do things to honor and validate how you feel about money. It's a form of sabotage, and we don't often know we're even doing it.
Is that most of the people you do work with, is it something related to that issue? Or they might say it's the money, but is it about life choices they've made and the money represents, how they will look to their peer group? And is it oftentimes interrelated to that one question? To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonrealacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media, log in and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonrealacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.